Derek, thank you for yesterday. It was great. So we're talking about parables, and we're talking about different, I guess, again, you call it symbolism is what a parable is. It's a symbolic phrasing of things, and it's something that Jesus used to teach his disciples. I know, again, I want to thank the elders and thank Adam for asking me to help out with this. I do, I appreciate it. I'm always, if I'm available, I'm happy to speak and to help out, and I'm ready to do it, and hopefully everybody will get something out of it. Now, again, our format tonight is more of a classroom type format, so I'm going to have some questions on the board. I'm going to be looking for you to answer. I'm also going to ask some of you folks to read for me. Now, I can read it out if that's necessary, but I did not put all the scriptures on the board that I'm going to have. But we'll get that started. So let's see if the technology is good to me. All right. So our subject this evening is being lights out in the world. And, it's something that we talk about a lot. And there are several passages where this is mentioned throughout the New Testament, and it is a parable of Jesus. This is spoken about specifically by Jesus himself in the Gospels. So let's see if I can get it to go to the next slide. All right. So here are a few verses. If someone would take for me this first one, Matthew chapter 5. Verses 14 through 16, if someone will read that for me. And stand up and read out loud.
You are the light of the world. A city that is set on a hill cannot be hidden. Nor do they light a lamp and put it under a basket, but on a lampstand and gives light to all who are in the house. Let your light so shine before men that they may see your good works and glorify the Father in heaven.
All right, thank you, Dad. Again, this was Matthew. This, again, is Jesus speaking to his disciples. And if you check Matthew chapter 5, what is going on in Matthew chapter 5? The Sermon on the Mount. That's right. That's what's happening in this context. That's where we're at. So is he speaking just to a few people? Multitudes of people. This parable is not for just a select few. Again, it's for everybody. It is for everybody to hear for generations to come. It's not just for an immediate few people for an immediate period of time. Next is Luke 11, verse 33, if somebody will take that for me. One up there.
No one after lighting a lamp puts it in the cellar or under a basket, but on a stand, so that those who enter may see the light.
All right, so again, talking about where the light is, where it's put, what's going on with it. All right? And then the next one, Mark chapter 4, verses 21 through 22. All right, once again, same basic theme, same type of thought. Again, where you light a light, and where do you put it? And what is it going to? So, now, here comes and we don't need to spend a lot of time on this because this is going to be the meat of our classroom, and I need you guys to help me with it, okay? So we got three passages, three parables about light and possibly where it is. So, what is the meaning of light in the context of these verses? That's right. If you got light, there's no darkness, okay? What else? There you go. What now you can go further with that, but it's how you act. Your influence. What else? What is the light? Who is the light? Yeah. We are. You are the light. You are the light of the world. That's right, and as you should. You are the light. You are. Remember that in Matthew. If we need to go back to it, we can. You are the light of the world. You are. Okay, remember that in this context. That's what we're talking about, is the context, right? You are the light of the world. So that's who he's talking about. What is the meaning of the light? So, and we kind of hit around it in that we are the light of the world, but let's see. How do we generate that light? That's what we talked about in our actions. What else?
Well, if we live for Christ, then we glow in the world, and we're a light that shows others what Christ is like.
That makes complete sense. So, if we follow Christ, then we are light in the world.
We are a reflection of Christ in this world. Some people never see the light because they never see the reflection that we put out.
And that's a good analogy, Jim. In antiquity, if you were working in a mine, or you were working in a tomb, or you were scavenging out the pyramids, how could you get light if it was daylight outside? A mirror. You would use a series of mirrors to reflect the sunlight from outside, and you could get it all the way down to the darkest chasm. A mirror is a reflection of the biggest light. And if we are light, then we are a reflection of the light shown by who? Jesus and his Father and his Word. And his Word. We're followers of the Word, right?
Light can be bad. I remember flying over the jungle in Vietnam at night. If you saw a light, you did not go close to it. When they had enough steel, if they had enough junction to have a light, they had something they would shoot.
That's right. So, and if you were in your helicopter at night and you had your lights on, what were you? A target. That you didn't have no lights on at night, did you? That's smart. Because if you had your lights on, if you were shining those lights out there in the jungle and they saw those lights, what would they do? They'd start shooting at them. They want to take that light down because they know it's their enemy.
But the light, we got to make sure we find the right light.
And what is that? That's right. There you go. It's Jesus. There's little discussion on that. So we talk about. So give me some other. Well, we'll go back to Matthew chapter 5. Who can read for me again verse 16 in Matthew chapter 5?
In the same way, let your light shine before others, so that they may see your good works and give glory to your Father who is in heaven.
Okay, so in the same way, let your light shine before others so they can see what? Your good deeds, your good works. So, just like last night in the parable of the vines and the branches, what did the branches need to do? They needed to bear fruit, right? And if you're bearing fruit, what is that? It's a good work. It's a good deed. It's something that can be seen. I can see if my branch is bearing fruit or if it's not bearing fruit, right? It's something I can see. Right, and
Good deeds are done for him, not us. When we have good works, it has to be
right, yeah, it's a deed so that the Father is glorified. He gets the glory, not us. So that's why we want to make sure that that our good deeds, just like you're saying, Jim, are for our Father and not to be seen of who? Men. Not to be seen of men, but to give glory to the Father. That's the good light that we've got to shine. Have you ever heard of anybody that just gives a lot of money to charity? I remember, what was it? There was that mega church in Texas when the floods came. They didn't open the doors to the church until there was just some big social outcry or something like that. They got all these people. That's a lot of money. But why do you do it? You hope you did it for the right reasons. Why did that church open the doors for the people of the flood? Not because it was the right thing to do, but it ended up being because so many people were screaming at them because they're a church, and all these people were needing some place to go, and they had this big old place, and they weren't going to let them in, right? They did that because the outcry of the people, not because it was to bring glory to God. So my next question is, what is the meaning of world in the context of these verses? If we are the light of the world, what was that, Steve? Those that need to come to Christ, okay. Who does that encompass? Everyone, okay. So, if you think about the world, if you define world, does that mean the globe? It could. So, are we all, I know that Greg and Ron always did, are we all going to travel the globe? No, we're not all going to travel the globe. So, what else can the world mean besides the entirety of the globe? There you go. Where you're at in the people that you can affect. Can all of us affect someone in some way? Yes, we each can. Does it have to be multitudes? No, it doesn't have to be huge numbers. I think sometimes a lot of us get caught up in some of these verses and that being light of the world. And if I go back to it, let's see if I can get there. I played with the AI image generator and made that, but they think about, I've got to be some city on a hill on my own, trying to shine my light to multitudes of people. And is that what do you think that is what Jesus is looking for from us? I don't think necessarily he's looking for that from the individual. He's looking for that individual to be that city to those that they can affect or those that are around them, right? So I'm going to ask for a few examples, and I'll give you, oops, I went, down is up and up is down. So I'll give you some examples just in my own work life. A lot of folks that I work with, especially the managers, and it boggles my mind that our managers and even my district manager, my boss, will use the language that they use at work. And I have gotten to where I've been picked by my boss to travel to the different stores in our area to help with their inventories, and I've gone to a lot of different stores, and there's lots of different managers that are there, and I've seen a lot of them at these different inventories over the course of the last year. And every time they use coarse language, and I can hear it, I will look at them and say, language. And they're like, okay, it's Eric. And a lot of them have gotten better that when they see me, they will refrain from using coarse language because they know that it bothers me and that I've informed them that they can communicate using different language than the language that they're speaking. Right? Is that wrong or bad of me to do? No, not at all. So, and I'm looking for something from each of y'all. So somebody give me some other examples. Somebody give me something that you've done in your walk to shine your light out there in the darkness. It doesn't have to be some huge thing, but give me some small way. This is the interactive part. I know you've done it, so you don't have to be embarrassed. Lisa. And was she someone that was it someone that you knew prayed? Did you know that this person prayed regularly, or was it, you didn't know, but you took it upon yourself. Can we do this? Ben? Well, I had, on that same line, I had a similar story. Right as I came back to work for Tractor Supply, we have our annual sales meeting in Nashville, and one of the other managers asked me to do a prayer before for our district. And apparently, one of their traditions is to take one of those small, airplane bottles of liquor and drink it after they've had their little meeting. And so I said a prayer before they had their talk while they were having this get-together, and they had made me a water glass, like little doodad, so that I could join everyone in the tradition that they had. And even after the fact, after I drank my water, I'd had one of the ladies like, Eric, what was in that? You don't drink. What's in there? It was water. I didn't drink anything. And, because she knew, she'd seen that light, and she understood that, hey, this would be something that Eric would not normally do. And it's not something I did. I wanted, they asked me to participate in the tradition and asked me if I would, do this, in lieu of doing something else. And I said, I'll do that. That's,
When I was a baby, you
There you go. And what you did made a difference. Yeah. And what we do can make a difference. It does make a difference, Steve. Yeah, we're going to get to that. Right. That's right. And
That's what I say. I think being an encourager, when you see people that are in places that's not comfortable doing the right thing, you see them doing the right thing, or even see them struggle with it, is for you to go up to them and just say, I appreciate you, and encourage people to do those things. You'd be surprised that when one or two don't do the things and people gravitate onto it. It gives people an avenue that's not looking to go the way of the world.
That's
Stand
right.
firm and not believe. You can be the light that you need to be. And sometimes that shines bright. Light is the opposite of darkness.
Okay, we're going to get to that. Light is the opposite of darkness. Mom, tell the story of Dayton Dad and what he had to do. And here we are, so many years later. So many. 50 this year. 50 in a couple of months. 50 years later. And so it can be things like that. Yes, believe. People can see it, like literally, as a light, people can see you. One thing I wanted to do it years ago, but if you think about total darkness, if you had even the smallest tea lamp, that could be seen, if there was enough clearance, from miles away. This one small, tiny light. And I thought about, and one of the examples that I'd heard on the radio one time when I was listening was a guy that was in jail, incarcerated. And what he gave that example of was his mother. And he saw his mother and the light that she shone, even though it was small. And one thing you can think about, even if you've got a small candle, like I can hold that candle up to my face. And if we were in total darkness, you could see my face. Now, I could not see any of you, but you could see that light in the darkness from a long way away. And so what the example of that and the point of that would be is that your light is seen by people that you have no idea are seeing it. They may not ever say something to you about what they saw in you that made a difference to them. And is it necessary for you to be told that you made a difference for someone? It is not. Not whatsoever. Can you make a difference for someone and not know it? Yes. And probably many of us have. Many of us have probably made a difference for people in our lives in some small way and not ever known that we did it. But who knows? God knows. God knows that we made a difference for this person, that this person saw our light in the darkness from far away and may not have ever told us about it. Yeah, that's total darkness in those caves. Yes, you two are the fruits of the Spirit. Yeah. I mean, it's as simple as, letting someone pass in front of you if they're in a hurry. Like, how many times have you been at for sure now, the self-checkout? You've got one thing, somebody else has got 20 things, and you can tell they're in a lot bigger hurry than you are, and you let them go in front of you. Has anybody ever done that? I've done it. Because I can tell this person is like just not in a good place, and maybe them going in front of me and getting checked out will help them get into a better mood than what they're in right now. That's a small thing. None of us have to necessarily do something that is, grandiose or huge, or even know that we did anything. Just shine that light out there in the darkness. Oops, I didn't save my thing. So, the question I've got on my slides that I did not put onto this slide or save on there is, why would someone hide their light? Why would someone put their light under a bushel or under the bed or under the table? Why would someone hide their light? Shame, okay. Pressure from others. Maybe not confident. Get ridiculed. That peer pressure or shame. What would be the other word is, if you had that light on in your helicopter at night, what would happen to you? Get shot at, so you'd be a target. Fear. You're afraid. Has anybody ever been afraid? No, I bet you have. So, should we be afraid to let our light shine before men so that they can see our good works and glorify God? Should we be afraid? This is the interactive part again. No, we should not. Why? Then why does that happen to us? Somebody's got to have an example. And there's no shame in giving an example, Derek.
So in the sense of becoming its target, or fearfully becoming its target, in my line of work, it's very unusual for you to have any kind of faith in the supernatural. Okay?
And if anybody doesn't know, Derek's a scientist at Vanderbilt.
Science explains everything, or at least that is what the maniacs would have you believe. When I was up for promotion, the common complaint about me is that I didn't interact enough with people. And among those things that I've done to foster community within specific groups
It can. And just like, in my times with the other managers, it's like, it's Eric, right? That's Derek. Has anybody else got any other stories of that? It's Steve. Absolutely. So anybody else got any other times where Doug? And so what is sin? It's separation from, and God is light, and if we're separated from God, then we're in the darkness, right? I mean, you can get that symbolism very quickly. Sir. Yeah.
And one reason my dad told me as a youngster, you ever come in smelling like you've been drinking, you'll never get the car in. So I made sure, and to this day, I don't do that now.
Yeah. And I mean, when you've got places where something is regularly done, or is the expectation, or the, whatever it is that you are supposed to do, and you don't go along with it or set yourself apart, where have you put yourself? You put yourself on that pedestal. Now, I'm not talking about to be prideful pedestal, but you're setting yourself on the hill or on the pedestal. You're not putting your light under the bushel or under the bed, or where it can be hidden. Just a few other verses about light in the Bible. Who can go to Psalms 119, verse 105? That's right. So, the Word is what? A lamp and a light to the path. You can go to Proverbs 6, verse 23. I'll put these others if somebody will find them.
For the commandment is a lamp and the teaching a light, and the reproofs of discipline are the way of life.
So the commandment is a lamp, and the teaching is light. Who can do 2 Peter 1, verse 19?
Let a repentance that freed you with the precious blood of Christ, the Lamb with no defects or imperfections.
Is that the right one? I might have had it wrong.
So we regard the words of the prophets as confirmed beyond all doubt. You're doing well by paying attention to their words. Continue to pay attention as you would to a light that shines in a dark place, as you wait for day to come and the morning star to rise in your hearts.
There you go. And John 1, that ought to be familiar with most everybody. right, so the first three, what was the light in the context of those verses? The law, the Word. The Word was the light. Do we have the Word? We do. In John 1, what was the light? Christ. He is our light. And what did He overcome? The darkness, and overcome the world. I'm running out of time now. All right, so, wait a minute. I have another one that I missed putting in there. Man, I got to save my stuff better. Glad I printed it out. Thanks, Dad. All right, so if we are separated from God, then where are we? We're in the darkness. Who can go to Matthew chapter 8 and verse 12 for me? Now, in Matthew chapter 8, it is the where the centurion has come to Jesus and asked him to heal his servant, and Jesus says, "Do you want me to come to him?" And the centurion says, "No, I'm in command of all these people, and I know that if you just say the word, it will be done." And what Jesus is saying there is that he hasn't seen as much faith in all of these children of Israel as he's seen in this centurion of Rome, and that these children of Israel, the ones that should know better, are the ones that are going to be cast in the outer darkness, right? And what does that mean? They're going to be separated from God. It's not up there. So also stay in Matthew 22, verse 13. All right, and in that one should be the parable of the wedding feast. And in that one, someone has snuck into the wedding feast, and the master of the feast has noticed that he is not dressed properly and throws him out of the feast. So, if we are followers of God, what are we to be clothed in? In Christ. That's right. That's who we wear. If someone's not wearing Christ, you can tell it. You can see them. You can tell that they're not clothed in white array, right? You can see that on them. And they're going to be put into darkness. So one more in Matthew 25, verse 30. All right, and that one is the parable of the talent, where the unprofitable servant who was given 1 talent and buried it had his talent taken away from him and was cast out of the master's household once again. So, one more, Jude 1, verse 13. So gloomy darkness kept forever. And I think in the context of that one, that is people who are false prophets, who are not teaching what is proper about Jesus. They are kept for gloomy darkness. Okay? So if there is a symbolism for hell, what is it? What are some of the what is the main symbol that people out in the world think about hell? Right? Tell me, If you asked a person on the street what hell was, how would they describe it? Fire and brimstone. What is true hell? Being separated from God in the darkness. That's what hell is. Separation from God and being in the dark. And so if you think about that, Jesus is light. In him there is no darkness. Then we've got to be that light. We can't let ourselves get into darkness. We can't hide our light from somebody else. If we've got that light, we've got to let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine all the time. I'm sorry, that just popped into my head. So I've got one last parable, and we've got about 10 minutes, so we may have a moment to discuss it further. This is, I love the symbolism in the parable of the lost coin. And I've got it, well, we need to go then. It says, or suppose, that clock is wrong. Suppose a woman has 10 silver coins and loses one. Doesn't she light a lamp, sweep the house, and search carefully until she finds it? And when she finds it, she calls her friends and neighbors together and says, "Rejoice with me, I have found my lost coin." In the same way, I tell you, there is rejoicing in the presence of the angels of God over one sinner who repents. So, in the parable, who is the woman? Who's the woman? This is the interactive part again. Who's the woman? God. God is the woman. Who is the coin? The world. The people that are lost. So, now none of us were without sin, don't get me wrong. We're all lost to sin at some point. But what is the lamp? You never really talk about what the lamp represents. What can the lamp represent? What was it? The Word, that's right. Where should the Word dwell? In us. The Word, if it's light, should dwell within us so that we can show our deeds to the people, so that they can be found. So they can be found. So, if you think about that in the context of this parable, and you got those three things. You got the woman who is God, you got the coin that represents those that are lost, and you got a lamp. Who lights the lamp? The woman does. So if we're lit, if we've had our light lit, then we need to be out there sweeping the darkness to find that which is lost. Now, can our light be put out? Could we start to hide it? Can someone else sweep and find us? And also, if you remember, one of my favorite things about the prodigal son is who found the prodigal son? When he came to himself. He came to himself. He figured out he was lost. He figured out he was in the darkness. Can we figure it out on our own? Sure we can. We can know that we are lost and light our light back and set it on that pedestal or put it up on the hill so that everyone else can see. That does not diminish that light whatsoever. And even as small as that light may be in the outer darkness, you can see it from forever away. So don't think that your light is obscured or too dim. If it's shining whatsoever, then it's out there for people to see. And don't hide it from anyone. Don't be afraid. Don't think that someone is going... What can any created thing separate us from God? No. No created thing can separate us from God. So why should I fear what people do? Not even the devil. He's created. He can't separate you. If God be for us, who can be against us? We got to remember that. And that is all I have. I was expecting that other bell here in just a moment. Does anybody got anything? Anybody got something they want to discuss on lights out in the world? Everybody think you might shine even just a little bit brighter? If we don't keep shining, nobody will see us. That's an absolute certainty. If we hide our light, no one will see it. If we put it under the bushel, nobody's going to see it. Thank you all. That is my lesson for this evening. I do appreciate it. I'll get him to turn it off. Thank you. Oh, I need to turn this off. Thank you.